Hi, I'm Pradeepa, a watercolor artist, and today we're going to paint this beautiful loose floral painting. Let's do it. For this painting, you will need lemon yellow, cadmium yellow, scarlet or cadmium red, magenta, cerulean, sap green or yellow green, hooker's green, and violet. We will also need some brushes. I've got a size 10, an acrylic brush, which can be quite stiff, a flat brush, and we also have two water containers and a set of paints. This is the paint set that I'll be using for today. We also have a 9 by 12 inch watercolor paper. This is Bockingford with tape around it and some tissue. Also done a little study in my sketchbooks to serve as an inspiration for this painting. So I'm starting with some of the cooler red and the magenta, and I'm just going around in curves as I paint the center of the first flower. You can see how I'm doing my brush strokes. I'm starting off with the tip and then pressing it down so that it becomes wider, and then pulling it back up as I curve into a thinner bit. Now with the same one or the same color, I'm doing my next flower following the same recipe that I told you before. So it's just going round in not so much as concentric circles, but more like in a spiral. And now I've got some warmer red as well, and I'm doing the centers of the flowers with a darker version of the same color. And this gives the impression that it's much more deeper and it's in the shadows. So now I've got the warmer red, which is like the cadmium red, and I'm dropping some of that red into this flower that I've already painted, and then going on to paint another flower just on top of these two flowers. And you can see my brush strokes again, starting off with that tip and then pressing it down and then pulling it back up. So this is the process we'll be using for any flower that we paint, which looks a bit like roses, I suppose. Now I've got my warm yellow, which is a cadmium yellow. I mixed a little bit of red into it, and we're going to paint the yellow flower that's next to the reds. So again, same process, there's nothing new. We are starting at the center and then going around in those curves and making sure that they're not looking like concentric circles. So we're going, a little bit here, a little bit there, and we want to make it look a little bit like a rose. Now I know it's all very light at the moment, but we're going to come back later. And you can see I'm dropping some of that yellow cadmium red mixture into the top rows, because at the end of the day, we want all the colors to be present in most parts of the painting. And see, I'm mixing the colors, putting some of that red in the yellow and putting some of the and also using a flat brush. This is great for lifting colors, and I'll be using more of it as time goes on. So I've got another yellow rose at the bottom now, and again following the same sort of pattern. Now you'll notice that I've done a little bit more of concentric curves with this, so I will correct it later. But you see, the advantage with loose florals is that you can make mistakes and they're still easy to correct. So I'm going with my blue flower next, and that's going to be one at the top and one on the right side. So I'm going on the one at the bottom right first. And see, again, it's the same process. So we go around in curves. We do the middle first, and we start off with the tip of the brush and then press down and pull back up to the tip again. So with the same kind of curves, we're going to go around almost thinking of the pattern of a rose here, where the petals almost spiral towards the center. Now I know there is no rose that, or maybe there is a rose with this color, but I just, for the sake of, I wanted this kind of cerulean blue in my painting, so that's why there's this color. But to compensate for that, I have got a violet to go in the middle. And because the blue is still quite wet, you can see how the violet is just kind of spreading out in splodges here and there. And so I come back in with my flat brush to pick up those extra bits. So picking up extra bits is a very important part of any painting. Now I'm coming in with my yellow green, and it's the same principle as when we were painting the flowers, except this time it just goes straight or very slightly curved. So you get the tip of your brush and you press down on the middle as you're pulling and then lift up. So you'll get, see what I'm doing there? You'll get that nice leaf shape. And I've also decided to put some sprays of violet here and there, just because if you think of a bouquet, you'll have some of the main flowers, then you'll have some supporting acts. And usually there are these kind of sprays of, like baby's breath or something like that in a bouquet. So that's what I'm doing. I think this is based on a bouquet that I'd photographed on my phone, and there were these kind of light violet flowers that was like these spray flowers in this bouquet. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going back to my hooker's green now, and I've got that darker green mixed with even some of that purple, and I'm just connecting the drawing with the tip of my paintbrush and making the stems for those sprays of flowers. It's quite important sometimes to do these kind of connections so that it reads okay to the eye. And I'm adding some of that green into the middle of the flowers. We're also adding some more, because you can imagine in a bouquet there will be some leaves peeking out from between the flowers. So that's what I'm doing here. And then going back to the outside, we are coming and adding those leaves one by one. It doesn't always turn out perfect, so you may have to come back in and add, like I'm doing now, some more paint and brush strokes. Sometimes it comes out really well. Your brush needs to be really loaded. You can see there my brush is now fully loaded with paint, so it's putting down those dark leaves. That's just hooker's green mixed with some violet. And it's also important to have see, that was a nice leaf I just did there, where you pull, press down with the tip of your brush and then pull with that belly, and then there we go. See, another like that. And if it doesn't work out, you can just fix it by going over it once more. It's not a big problem. The important thing is paying attention to the composition as you're painting. Because I have cut out those bits here. There were times that I paused in between painting these leaves and just had a good look at the painting and just to see where else the painting needed leaves, where else it needed greens, what else the painting needed. So I stopped many times in between painting this painting and I paused to look at it more objectively. But obviously, it's not going to be interesting for you to watch when I just, there are periods of inactivity when I'm just holding my brush in front of the camera and not doing anything. So I've just cut that out. So please feel free to pause the video at any point and just assess your painting before just painting it mindlessly the whole way through. And so I'm adding more leaves now. This is more, so you've got to vary the color of your greens. If all the greens were the exact same color, it would be a very boring painting. But you can see as I'm adding the leaves, those yellow flowers are now looking more prominent because they're surrounded by those darks. So that is one way in watercolor, and I guess in art in general, to make a pale subject more obvious. You can see how I'm using the greens at the bottom there and using that to outline the edge of that yellow rose type flower there. And so I'm trying to add, and you see I'm going back from the dark green, then flitting back to the light green. And now I'm trying to add different kinds of leaves just with the tip of my brush. And with that yellow green, I'm adding those small little sprigs coming out. And again, here I'm paying attention to the composition. I've added one sprig on that side, so I'm coming and adding another sprig on the left side of the painting, or left to my left, and another sprig at the bottom. So we want, I think generally they say have odd numbers of each thing that your element that you're adding. So I'm just trying to add a few here and there. I'm quite happy with the flowers, so I'm just so I think so I think here I've added about 5 of those sprigs, and so it just helps the whole composition to look much more balanced when you do that. Now I've got that sort of reddy orange, and I'm going with that to make the centers a lot more defined. Some of the shadows in that yellows, you see the yellow is still looking quite pale. So I've decided you've just got to decide which side your shadows are going to be and add your shadow colors. So now I'm thinking of the painting, and I'm thinking, my thought is that I should add some spatter with that yellow I've already got on my brush. And you can see that it does look quite nice. I love spatter. I love a bit of spatter. It's not everybody's favorite, but I always love to add spatter with a loose painting. So I've got some more of that green now. It's more a yellow green, as you can see, mixing that cadmium yellow with it. And I've got some more leaves that I want to do more like a twig coming out. So I've got the leaves, I'm kind of starting on the outside and going to the inside. So you've got that sprig of leaves, like a little branch coming out. And I think that's quite nice. We've also got other, I think I want to then make that kind of sprig again in another place just for the sake of unity. And so see, I'm making it in another place as well. So any element that, a new element that you add, is good to add similar things in other parts of the painting. And if you are a florist and you do flower arrangements, you know this is how you would do that anyway, isn't it? Now I've got some of that violet, which I'm going to go and use it to just define the little sprays a bit more, because I think it just looks nice where it's all gone very light, but just to give some added interest, we're going to make that look a bit more darker, and so to give it a little bit more of that 3D effect. And I'm going to try and do it similar to what I've done it at the bottom, at the top as well, because I think all of this again goes to produce that kind of united feeling in a painting. And I'm going and adding some more of that violet into that center. So I always want my centers to look quite a lot darker than the outside, just to give that illusion of depth in a flower or in any painting actually. And I'm going and adding some more of that blue now into the center of the other flower and just reinforcing those spiral shapes a bit more. I know I'm going into the whites a little bit, but that's okay because I do want that blue to be the thing that stands out in this rather than the violet. I want some more of that blue to show. So again, this is because I probably would have stopped a little while before doing this and assessed the painting and thought, okay, I do need a little bit more blue. And I thought that though it needs a bit more green as well, just to define the blue flower on that top. And see, I'm just looking and seeing what needs doing now, because we're sort of coming to the end of the painting process when it's, it looks quite put together now. So it's more a case of fine tuning and seeing, okay, what else do I need? What else would make this look better? And actually, it's good to spend a fair amount of time in this stage of the painting where you just fine tune. You don't want to go and drastically change it because it looks good now, but it's just seeing what small tweaks are needed to make it look even better. And I've decided, okay, it does need some more darks in the center of the main flowers. I'm not changing the colors, I'm just going and adding some more. And this often comes with experience. The more you paint, you'll know what to do in these kind of final stages. I know when you're a beginner artist, you're so terrified of messing it up at this stage that you don't do anything at all. So keep painting. The answer is to keep painting. The more you paint, the more you will know what needs doing. And I've also realized that there's only two blue flowers, and I don't want to paint a full-blown third flower. So I thought maybe if I just add a little bit of blue in that corner that you see me adding that cerulean, that's where that turquoisey blue, that would add balance without adding a complete extra flower. And I'm also going and using my flat brush now to pick up some of the, because I just feel that the blue flowers have lost some of their light that's in them. By light, I just mean the lightness of the watercolor painting. So, and I also adding some of that dark green to the center. Again, thinking of just how I would like the whole composition to look. And I'm picking up the whites in the blues in a specific way with that angular, giving that angle, because that's how roses tend to be. They have that sort of angular petals. If you just look at a rose, and you'll find it's often the characteristic of a rose to have that angle. And I'm adding that turquoise blue right in the middle of the blue flower at the bottom, adding some more of those petals as well. I'm going in again here. What I'm doing is just fine tuning it. So it's become a bit green. So I'm adding some more of the blue so that it looks more, just a bit more balanced. And I might just leave it there. So it's almost like that flower is there underneath that red flower, but we're seeing it from a side profile. So that's the kind of look I'm trying to achieve there in between. And I'm now adding some of that red. You can see the red spatter. You can go with all colors of spatter. So I've just added red and yellow, but you could do green as well, and that would look nice. And I think I quite like the look of the blues now. So I'm just going in and redefining some of that, the darks and that yellow rose, which is kind of buried beneath. And now well, I think now I've got that flat brush. I want to try a bit of experiments and see how it looks to actually paint leaves with a flat brush. By twisting and turning it, you can produce kind of, rhomboidal leaves if you like. So now I've added that leaves in one place, I want to add it in other places. So I'm just having fun, experimenting and seeing how it looks, and adding those leaves. I think for me, it's definitely coming towards a time to stop. I quite like how it has turned out. Um, and I'm, experimenting with those leaves again, but I quite like how it has turned out. Hope you enjoyed watching. Please do like and subscribe for more videos like this and to support my channel. Thank you very much.